Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Oh yes, the day has finally arrived. The next Primarch week is upon us. And this week, we bring some much needed love to the Raven Guard. With Corax week, the Raven Lord himself. And where better to begin than with the event that would go on to shape the character of Corax more than any other. The betrayal of Istvan. The Drop Site Massacre. Spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from the Horus Heresy novel The First Heretic by ADB. As always, I really recommend you read the story for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, we help to support the great Games Workshop and Black Library, because without them, we don't have this amazing lore to talk about. I will put a link in the description as always. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay, so as ever with the Primarch weeks, the aim is to truly dive into the mind and character of the Primarchs, to gain a greater understanding and appreciation for just what makes them tick. And Corax, of all the Primarchs, certainly feels to have been underappreciated over the years. A large part of that, seemingly typecast with his fall into depression. But hopefully throughout this week, we can bring some light and understanding onto this misunderstood Primarch. And well, there really was no better place to start, like I said. So, as we know, at the beginning of the Horus Heresy, word reached Terra of Horus Lupercal's betrayal, and thus, with Malcador placing Rogal Dawn in command of the Imperial military, it was Rogal himself who ordered 7 full legions to the Istvan system to bring in his traitor brothers Horus and Fulgrim. And so it was. Corax and his Raven Guard were among the first to arrive, alongside his brothers Vulcan and Ferrus. Now Vulcan and Corax had the majority of their legions by their side, whereas Ferrus Manus had only his Terminator elite. However, despite this, the Gorgon was so filled with fury, he demanded to press the attack immediately, against Dawn's explicit orders. And fatefully, the Raven Lord and the Lord of Drakes conceded. Once the rest of the supposed loyalist legions arrived, the die was truly cast, for the legions of the Night Lords, Word Bearers, Iron Warriors, and World Eaters were already secretly in league with the traitor Warmaster, and they betrayed their still loyal brothers, trapping them in a deadly crossfire, and the Drop Site Massacre truly began. Now, while this is perhaps Corax's most defining moment, it is undoubtedly also his finest. As the traitor legions poured fire into their betrayed and trapped kin, the Raven Lord was everywhere. Wherever his sons fell the hardest, he would arrive, laying waste to the betrayers with a righteous fury that none could match. Never once does he take a backward step, a beacon of such undeniable rage that no one can stand before him. And there's some absolutely stellar lines by ADB in describing Corax here, as he just plows into the word bearers, just massacring them one after another. But it's not his skill at arms that strikes you most, it's his unbridled passion. Not anger, nor rage. It went beyond both. This was wrath, in physical form. Now, it had been many years since I had really read The First Heretic, and the second I started reading this scene, It really just brought back all those goosebumps instantly. The image of Corax here is just another level. If you're one who's never rated the Raven Lord, I can only assume you've never read this novel, because my lord, it's just an evocative scene. ADB's description of Corax is so brilliantly done. You can't help but feel yourself filling with his righteous passion with him, as he vents his fury onto the word-bearers, doing whatever he can to save as many of his sons as possible. You feel your own heart racing as Corax eviscerates one after another. But as the word-bearers feel the Raven Guard breaking, only Corax's brother Lorgar has the presence of mind enough to realise Corax isn't just slaughtering his legion mindlessly. He's intentionally going to where the fighting is thickest. He's drawing the attention of the word-bearers onto himself, so that he might clear a path for his own sons to reach their gunships, their only hope for escape. And as much as this moment, this massacre will define Corax's future to come, this is why I also say it's truly his finest moment. Betrayed by 6 legions, watching his sons being annihilated around him, Corax is giving absolutely everything he has to simply save his legion. Lorgar, hearing the screams of his own men over the Vox, as they fall like blades of grass before the avenging Raven Lord, heads to meet his brother, face on. His psychic potential finally bursting free as he runs, golden light pouring from the horizon as the two brothers meet face to face. In this pivotal moment, the fight is on. The beginning line summing it up perfectly. His brother was a warrior, a warlord, and from the very first moment their weapons met, Corax was fighting to kill, while Lorgar fought to stay alive. It's such a shame the Raven Guard were effectively taken out of the heresy here, as it really stopped us from witnessing Corax going up against more of his brothers. And it's this lack of screen time which I really think stops Corax from getting the props and respect he really does deserve as a top level Primarch fighter. Make no bones about it, Corax is a killer. The two Primarchs go at it, with Corax evading every strike Lorgar throws his way, not even needing to parry, while Lorgar, in contrast, is described as sweating desperately as he tries to block each of Corax's blows. Corax demands to know just what madness has befallen his brother, declaring him traitor, a betrayer of the Imperium, and perhaps most personally, a pathetic reflection of their father, with his light of psychic gold. And this is an interesting quote, as all the Primarchs of course reflect the Emperor in some way or another. Lorgar the Golden One, the Urizen, is said to be a clear representation of his father, and perhaps out of all of the Primarchs, resembles his father the most. But for me, I've always felt Corax is the most strikingly similar to the Emperor of mankind. The description most often seen or given for the Emperor is the tanned skin with his raven black long dark hair. And yes, in the lore sense, Corax is supposed to have marble white skin. In virtually all the artwork you see of him, his skin tone is a much more natural balance. And to me, he definitely resembles the Emperor more than any other Primarch. Perhaps this could be a reason why the Emperor and he have such a seemingly strong bond. The Emperor may see more of himself in Corax, than any of his brother Primarchs. The wildness in the Raven Lord's black eyes was something Lorgar had never imagined before. Corax had always seemed so devoid of passion. That this warrior lay beneath the albino facade was a horrendous revelation. "I will kill you, Lorgar." "I know." He spoke through gritted teeth, feeling strength bleed from his bones. "But I have seen what will be. Our father, a bloodless corpse enthroned upon gold, and screaming into the void forever." Lies. The black eyes narrowed, and the Raven Lord's pale muscles bunched, locking harder. "You are reducing a kingdom to chaos, overthrowing the perfect order." Lorgar's grey eyes danced with light despite the strain of his body. "The opposite of chaos is not order, brother. It is stasis. Lifeless, unchanging stasis." With a last grunt, Lorgar's strength gave. Quivering hands could no longer keep his brother's weapons back. "Here it is," Corax promised in a hiss, his saliva flecking Lorgar's eyes and cheeks. "Here is the death you so richly deserve." The claws reached his brother's face. Slowly, the metal burning hot, sliced over Lorgar's golden skin. Inch by inch, blackening the golden flesh, cutting into the meat of his cheeks. Even should he escape, he would bear these scars until the day he died. He knew this, and he did not care. The psychic fire reefing them both flared in response to Lorgar's pain. Corax closed his eyes to spare his sight. Lorgar threw the Raven Lord back. Illuminarum rose, ready to strike, before a burst of smoky fire launched the Raven Lord up from the soil, to come down on Lorgar from above. The Wordbearer smashed the first claw aside, striking the fist with enough force to shatter the gauntlet completely. But even as scythe-long claw blades span off into the surrounding melee, the second claw struck home. Meter-long talons sank through Lorgar's stomach, the tips glinting to the side of his spine as they thrust from his back. Such a blow meant little to a Primarch. Only when Corax heaved upwards did Lorgar stagger. The claws bit and cut, soaring through the Wordbearer's body. Illuminarum slipped from the impaled Primarch's fist. Those same hands wrapped around Corax's throat, even as the Raven Lord was carving his brother in half. "For the Emperor," Corax breathed, untroubled by his weaker brother's grip. Man, Corax is something else here. Sorry to take Guilliman's title, but this is an avenging son. Just absolutely battering his brother Primarch from pillar to post, before plunging his lightning claws straight into his gut. And then, if that's not enough, wrenching it straight upwards, literally ripping his torso apart. And oh man, I just absolutely love it in these moments when you get a "For the Emperor" from the loyalist Primarchs. You don't need curse words or anything else. Those simple 3 words just absolutely make the moment. Just as when Jagatai ripped a Keeper of Secrets apart with his bare hands before declaring his loyalty aloud, here too, Corax voices his vengeance in the only words he needs to. For the Emperor. Oh man, just gives you chills. Lorgar, desperately trying to free himself from his impending death, rams his head into Corax's face, to no effect. 4 headbutts in total he slams into his brother's face, but Corax simply won't be denied, just tanking each of them. Ripping out his claw once more, Lorgar collapses to his knees, as the carnage around them continues to unfold. Here, now, in the serene calm of the eye of the storm, where all around them fades into obscurity, not just 2 warlords, 2 generals, or even 2 primarchs, but 2 brothers stay face to face, one standing tall, the other a blooded ruin. And as Lorgar realizes his end has come, Corax throws the final blow, only for it, as we know, to be blocked by the arriving Conrad Kurz. Oh man, how different could the heresy have turned out had Corax been able to end Lorgar here. Now we'll go on to discuss the relationship between Corax and Kurz this week, but man, this is such a profound scene, not just for Corax, but for the heresy as a whole. At the heart of the madness of Istvan, 2 primarchs fighting to the death, in a scene never ever dreamed possible. And for me, like I said, it's perhaps not even the fight against Lorgar which makes this so poignant for me. It's the sight of Corax desperately trying to do anything, just anything he can, to try and save his legion, forcing the enemy fire to focus on him, to desperately try and open a path for his sons to escape. Around 80,000 Raven Guard arrived with Corax to Istvan, most if not all of the Legion. When Corax would leave, less than 5,000 would remain. Over 75,000 Raven Guard had been slaughtered. The Legion would never be the same again, and the effect of this loss would guide the path of the Primarch's future forever. Oh man, what a scene, what a moment, what a way to kick off Corax Week. Such a great moment, and so important to understand the Primarch that Corax not only was, but would go on to be. Do you class Corax in the top tier of fighters? And do you think, like me, that this was not only his most defining moment, but also his greatest? The sacrifice of a father. And how different do you believe it could have been had Corax been able to end Lorgar? But as always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again tomorrow, as Corax Week continues.